Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and participating units and remain standing for the national anthem, Pledge of Allegiance, lowering of flags, and invocation. The official party and participating units for today's ceremonies are Veteran of the Year, Dan Newton, American Legion Post 32, Chaplain Richard Cram, American Legion Post 32, Officer of the Day, Frederick J. Foster, United States Navy, Council President Kathleen McIntyre, Commander James Pardo, American Legion Post 32, Commander Alan Stanarek, Disabled American Veterans, Chapter 114, Commander Gerald Jeanette, VFW Post 3941, Commander Frank Dewuski, Post 166, Commander John Sweck, VFW Post 345, American Legion Post 32 Color Guard, Hubert Fortier O'Grady, VFW Post 345 Color Guard, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 3941 Color Guard, Livonia Police Department Honor Guard, led by Lieutenant Gregory Wynn, Livonia Fire Department Honor Guard, led by Lieutenant Philip Cram, Bagpiper John Stonier. I want to introduce to you Clarenceville High School Marching Band under the direction of Christopher Kuhn and the Livonia City Chorus under the direction of Jeff Swan, who will now perform the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce this year's host post, American Legion Post 32, Veteran of the Year, Dan Newton, Chaplain Richard Cram, Officer of the Day, Frederick J. Foster, and Council President, Kathleen McIntyre. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by the Veteran of the Year, Dan Newton. United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, I'm going to introduce the commanders. To lowering the flags to half staff. City of Livonia flag, Commander Alan Stranrick, DAV Chapter 114. Wayne County flag, Commander Gerald Jeanette, VFW Post 3941. The Michigan flag, Commander Frank Delewski, PLAV Post 166. POW MIA flag, Commander John Sweck, VFW Post 345. Lower flags. Next, we will lower the American flag. Commander James Pardo, American Legion Post 32, will lower the U.S. flag to half staff. Lower flag. At this time, Chaplain Richard Cram will present the memorial prayer.
To Gettysburg in the Civil War, to San Juan Hill in Cuba, to Belleau Wood in Europe, to Iwo Jima in the South Pacific, to Pork Chop Hill in Korea, to the Dominican Republic, to Hamburger Hill in Annam, to the desert of Iran, to Grenada, to Panama, to Tikrit in Iraq, and Kandahar in Afghanistan. We have and we will faithfully serve with your blessings. As the Marine Corps says in its motto, Semper Fi. As a nation of lovers of personal liberties, dear Jesus, over the course of our history, we have always protected the less fortunate with your help, aid, and assistance. Our late 35th President, John F. Kennedy, said it best in his inaugural address. Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, and oppose any foe to assure the survival and success of liberty. On this day, Almighty God, we hope and pray for your continued help and assistance in the defense of our country, the protection of our liberty, and especially for the protection of our military forces scattered across the world in harm's way, fighting this country's war on terror. Would you all join me in the Lord's Prayer? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us not our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And deliver us from evil. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, next we will do the placing of the memorial wreath. You may be seated. The officer of the day, Frederick Foster, and Council President Maxine McIntyre will move the memorial wreath to the center of the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, a new name has been added to our wall this year. At this time, I would like to invite the family of Corporal Nick Bodner to please come up to the wall. Corporal Nick Bodner was wounded in action during the Korean War by a missile receiving shrapnel wounds to the right leg, left arm, and behind the ear. Because of this, he was awarded the Purple Heart, the Korean Service Medal with 2 bronze stars, and the United Nations Service Medal. At this time, I would like to invite anyone that has a family member whose name is on the wall to please come forward and take a carnation and place it on the wall. military, veterans, and honored guests. When I call your name, please come forward and take a carnation at the base of the flag. Place at the base of the flag. Dan Newton, Veteran of the Year. Richard Graham, Chaplain, American Legion Post 32. Commander Jim Pardo, American Legion Post 32, Livonia. Commander Alan Stranick, DAV Chapter 114, Livonia. Commander Gerald Jarrett, Veteran of Foreign Wars Post 3941, Livonia. Commander Frank Delwiski, Polish Legion of American Veterans Post 166, Livonia. Commander John Sweck, Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 345, Livonia, Redford. U.S. Navy Reserve Sailor of the Year, Chief Petty Officer Mark Brown. Major Joseph Geronimo, World War II veteran and patriotic instructor, Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 3941, Livonia. Gary Gamble, Senior District 4 Commander. Gil Desirek, Past State Commander, PLAV. William Kramer, representing the Tin Can Sailors. Chief Chad Whitehead, Livonia Fire Department. Lieutenant Stephen Petch, representing Livonia Police Department. Council President Kathleen McIntyre, Livonia City Council. Council Vice President Brandon Kurtzman, Livonia City Council. Council Member Brian Meekin, Livonia City Council. City Council Member Jim Jolly, Livonia City Council. Council Member Scott Bear, Livonia City Council. And Council Member Kathy White, Livonia City Council. City of Livonia Treasurer Linda Scheel. City of Livonia Clerk Susan Nash. Parks and Recreation Commission Chairperson Mark Johnson. Parks and Recreation Commissioner Kathy Kevra. Parks and Recreation Commissioner Paul Condon. Former Mayor Jack Kirksey. Miss Pat Kirksey. Former Mayor Jack Engelbretson. Superintendent of Livonia Public Schools Andrea Quist. Superintendent of Clarenceville School District Paul Sheepish. Clarenceville Board of Education President Mark Brooks. State Representative Laura Cox, 19th District. Wayne County Commissioner Diane Webb, 8th District. Wayne County Commissioner Terry Moraki, 9th District. State Senator Patrick Colbeck. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Veteran of the Year Dan Newton will place a spray at the base of the Freedom Tree. Ladies and gentlemen, anyone else wishing to place a carnation in memory or honor of someone, please come forward to place a carnation at the base of the wall.
Still my soul, the waves and winds still know His voice to rule them while He dwelt below. When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burden me, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. There is no life without its hunger. Each restless thought beats so imperfectly. But when you come and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Council President Kathleen McIntyre will introduce the Officer of the Day, Frederick J. Foster.
Thank you, General Davis. Good morning. It is my honor and privilege to be here this morning representing Mayor Dennis Wright, who was not feeling well this morning and unable to join us, but he does send his respects to all who are being honored today. This is a day set aside to commemorate the brave men and women who gave their lives in service to our nation. This is one of the most important things we do as a community, and I would very much like to thank all of you for taking the time to join us and pay respects to these people today. Before I introduce our speaker of the day, I would like to mention another military service member who was recently honored. The Chief of the Navy Reserve recently announced that the 2016 Navy Reserve Sailor of the Year is Naval Air Crewman First Class Mark Brown, who is the son-in-law of Livonia Parks and Recreation Commissioner Kathy Kevra. I'd like the family members to please stand at this time and be recognized. Now it is my pleasure to introduce your officer of the day. Retired Senior Chief Frederick Foster began his 27-year career in the Navy a month after graduating from Stevenson High School. After basic training, he attended submarine school and served on the fast attack submarine USS Whale until separating from active duty in 1993 and moving to the U.S. Navy Reserve. Several times in his career, Chief Foster returned to active duty, including once in support of the global war on terror. He retired in November of 2016 with numerous personnel awards, including the Joint Commendation Medal, Joint Service Achievement Medal, and Navy Achievement Medal. Mr. Foster's civilian employment is with Daimler Trucks North America at the Detroit Diesel Plant, where he has served as manufacturing group leader and midnight shift group leader. Mr. Foster and his family reside in Livonia, and this is his second time addressing our Memorial Day ceremony. His first effort he was not able to complete due to a rainstorm, and we are very pleased to have a more cooperative climate today. Please join me in welcoming retired Senior Chief Frederick Foster. And it is also, before he speaks, my honor to present him with his Officer of the Day commendation on behalf of the city. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Council President. First of all, let me say thank you to the families of the 15 carnations that were placed at the base of the wall. We will never forget the loss of your family members, and I'm sure you have fond memories of those family members that were sacrificed in the service of our country. So, thank you. Good morning, Mayor Kirksey, Mayor Engebretson, Council President McIntyre, honored guests, and fellow Livonia friends and neighbors. I'm honored to be able to address you today, and honored that we have a city that has a Veterans Memorial Plaza and a memorial wall. I think we should all feel grateful that we live in such a city that remembers. A few years ago, I served 16 months aboard my final sea command, the USS New York. The New York is an amphibious assault ship commissioned in 2009 and was built with 6.5 tons of World Trade Center steel forged into her bow stem. Her motto is, "Strength forged through sacrifice, never forget." Poignant reminders of sacrifice and what it means to serve are living throughout her. Damage control lockers, which contain equipment to fight emergencies, are named after lost FDNY. Symbols of the state of New York are throughout the ship. Each night underway over the 1MC, which is the addressing circuit, at 21:55, 5 minutes before taps, the chaplain says a prayer and remembers one of the lost 343 FDNY, one of the 37 Port Authority Police Department, or one of the 23 NYPD lost on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. He also remembers their family, what part of New York they were from, and different things about one of those who we pray for that evening. 2.5 years removed from my own retirement when I reported on board, which would be the end of my service, New York reaffirmed in me, never forget, keep our fallen's memories alive, and remind us of the importance of why we serve. On May 4th, we remember International Firefighters Day there. On May 15th, we remember Peace Officers Memorial Day. The third Saturday in May, we remember Armed Forces Day. And of course, September 11th and November 11th, we remember the attack on America and also Veterans Day. So in keeping with those remembrances that reaffirmed in me on the New York, the last Monday of May, this coming Monday, the 29th of May, and what we're all gathered here today for, we remember those fallen in combat service to our country on Memorial Day. You can think back and remember, if we even knew, how did we get to this celebration of Memorial Day? Well, following the Civil War, a Southern tradition started honoring war fallen by decorating their graves. On April 25th, 1866, women in Columbus, Mississippi, laid flowers on the graves of both Union and Confederate dead in the city cemetery, and there our tradition originated. Decoration Day was traditionally observed on May 30th for a couple of reasons. The date was chosen in 1868 by a Northern Civil War veterans organization, Commander-in-Chief General John A. Logan, because it was not the anniversary of any particular battle. Also, it was determined to be an optimal date when flowers were in bloom. Michigan made Decoration Day an official Michigan holiday in 1871. Over the first century following our Civil War, the preferred name for the holiday gradually changed from Decoration Day to Memorial Day, especially following World War II. On our national level, Memorial Day name was declared law in 1967, a century following the Civil War. In 1971, following a Uniform Monday Holiday Act, which was passed a few years earlier, finally took effect, making Memorial Day one of now 4 weekends that include a 3-day weekend Monday. Here in Livonia, our way of life is peaceful. So peaceful that we tend to be absorbed in routines, our daily lives, and that this is a 3-day weekend that has anything to do but with the loss of combat veterans, combat personnel. There's armed conflict happening right now. And we have people from our community in harm's way as we speak right now. I'd like to point out, if some of you aren't familiar with it, the south entrance of our city hall has a wall, and it says Livonia honors our active duty. And if you walk in, look to your right, you'll see some rows of photos. Some faces you may recognize, some you may not. But those are the folks that are out there right now or that have been recently, in harm's way from our own community. Of the nearly 324 million people in the United States, 1.4 million are on active duty right now. That's about 0.4% of our population that represent us doing our nation's bidding throughout the globe. Chances are, outside of the group here remembering with me today, a lot of people may not remember or may not know anybody serving in the military. Never forget those lives lost so that ours were not. Never forget that service member who was lost because they live on in the stories and our memories of them. I had a cousin, well, we called her our cousin, although she's 51 years my senior. First cousin, twice removed. But she used to remember and enjoy every time she heard a story about her brother Fred and Rob, both lost 4 months apart during World War II. She would hear a story of a high school friend or somebody that she knew in town, remembering her brother Fred or her brother Rob. She used to enjoy that because it said it brought them back to life. The shared stories of our high school friends about her brothers, she told me many times. It warmed her heart by not forgetting those that have fallen in battle for us, a sense of gratitude for the service that their lives sacrificed for. Thanks them again. My friends and neighbors, you're here today in our city's Veterans Park Memorial Plaza because you have not forgotten. You have chosen to remember that we have enjoyed freedoms to gather and live in civil peace at the cost of local lives. The known 140 names of those local lives are listed in front of you on this granite wall. Our gathering here in Livonia of a few hundred people remembers the sacrifices made by our armed forces, their families, their communities, and this country. That should be heartening to each of us, given that in our United States today, only 0.4% of the population is currently on active duty for us. Many right now in harm's way. And at the service of the remaining 99.6% of our population. When one armed forces person is lost in conflict, is that life lost from history if no one remembers them? To all of you here today remembering with me, encourage your circle of friends, neighbors, and associates to reflect on the names of the people who made the supreme sacrifice in conflict so that the rest of us did not have to. Inform yourselves of those lost. By doing so, those lost from walking this earth remain alive in our memories of them and their grieving families. General George S. Patton once said, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived." Indeed, I submit to you, my friends, never forget the men and women who have died in combat service for our country and that such Americans lived. Walking the deck plates of the USS New York helped me refocus on the meaning of her motto, strength forged through sacrifice, never forget. So I appeal to all of you, please, never forget. God bless you, God bless the United States of America, and God bless the city of Livonia.
At this time, Dan Newton will report to the Officer of the Day, Frederick Foster, to receive the Veteran of the Year Award. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the firing of the 3 volleys and remain standing for the playing of taps and America the Beautiful. Commanders of the Livonia Alliance, please report to the speaker's platform. Just report to the platform.
We're here.
Commanders, present a salute, acknowledge an appreciation, and then please proceed to your designated flags. Commander James Pardo, please raise the U.S. flag to full staff. Remaining commanders, please raise your flags to full staff. Commanders, you may return to your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to thank the following individuals for making their contributions to today's ceremony. Parks and Recreation Superintendent Ted Davis, Ann Cox, Carla Sandler, Kathy Damphouse, Jennifer Roberts, Patty Mitchell, Verna Wara, Parks Maintenance Civic Center crew, Livonia Police Department, Officer Michael Ackerman, Livonia Television staff, Mike DeFazio, Chris Nelson, Nathan Rockwell, Frank Moeller, Alex Westfall, and Suzanne Sherby. For without their help, we wouldn't be able to make today's ceremony possible. At this time, I invite all those here present today to sing along with Clarenceville High School Marching Band as they play the military anthems. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. I wanted to thank everybody for attending today. Please remain standing as the color guards depart.